Good morning, everybody. It is Amy Bennett with the AM Show. I am so glad to be standing in front of or underneath a lot of blue skies here. So yesterday it seems that a lot of our area started drying out, and it was a beautiful sunny day, and so very thankful for that. I personally was struggling a little bit. I threw my back out. You can tell I'm over 40 now. I threw my back out over the weekend, and then I spent a lot of yesterday in the bed. I was working with my laptop, don't worry, working in the bed, icing my back. I went to the chiropractor late yesterday, and it's still really sore, so I think it feels better, but I think I'm gonna probably spend a lot of today trying to ice it some more. It feels like there is a knife in my lower left back, so if you've had back pain, you can, have some empathy for me. But it's all good. We have a great chiropractor here in town. I've been going to the same chiropractor for actually 30 years. Legitimately, my mom started taking me when I was 10 years old, and it's the same guy in town for 30 years. I don't think he's changed a thing about his office over those 30 years, so I'm really appreciative of him. Anyway, so this morning I just wanted to share, and I see you, Sherry, and I love that you're on this morning because I'm going to talk about really something that the Lord showed me over the past few years as we've adopted, and things have not always been easy. Not always been easy. I see Nancy and Marie are joining. Good morning. Good morning, guys. And it really came to mind this morning, and I just feel like somebody needs to hear the same message that I heard a couple years ago. And that is, it's the story of when Jesus fed the 5,000, and he took the fish and the loaves, and he had the disciples go with baskets and feed everybody. And then it says at the end that he had there was actually leftover. He didn't just feed all of those thousands of people. He actually had leftovers in baskets, and he looks at the disciples and he tells them to gather them up, and then he says these words: "Let nothing be wasted. Let nothing be wasted." And in the midst of us when we first brought our son home, and things were really hard trying to get the five of us to mesh as a family, trying to establish our even mother-son relationship, it was just pushing me to the brink really of myself, and I was finding the ends of myself. I was having to face things about myself that I didn't like, that I had never had to face, and that's just what happens when you get put in these situations where I don't want to say it like this, but you can't escape. Like if something happens, and there's some things that you can run from, but there's some things you just can't run from. And in those cases, it's like a vice, and things get squeezed out, right? As it squeezes, as if you squeeze together, then there's some things that kind of like pop out, and that's what I found, is that I just and I was just not liking myself, and seeing the really hard parts of myself. And I was just questioning, like, is this really worth it? Am I doing the right thing? Like, I don't know if I can take this, Lord. And he took me to that verse, and he says, and it's when, in Jesus's hands, we can be broken for other people. And yet he says, let nothing be wasted. And that was just a picture of, I was being broken in this situation, and it was on behalf of, somebody else. And, but Jesus said, it's not going to be wasted. It's not going to be wasted. And I hope that I can, say that to any of you that are going through something difficult, that you might be in Jesus's hands, and he might be breaking you in the season that you're in. But if you continue to look to him, he says, I won't waste it. I won't waste it. And that was so encouraging to me, because I thought, if I'm doing this at his direction, and he says, you may be feeling pain, you may be feeling the squeeze, you may be seeing things you don't like, it may be hard, but he says it's not going to be wasted, and that means that God will do something good with it. Then I could persevere. Then I could persevere through it, and I could just take that next step. I could last another day. I could continue in trying to rebuild our family and rebuild those relationships. And I think sometimes it's just what we need to hear is that, what you're going through is not worthless. And it's not. Whatever you're going through, if the Lord is leading you through that, it is not going to be wasted. And I believe everything that we go through, God says, if you love Him, He's going to work it together for good. And there's just some hard days you need to hear that. You need to hear that it's not going to be wasted. I think sometimes, I think of all the time when we're, at the gym and, you're running on the treadmill and you just like want to give up. I always want to get up on the treadmill because I hate running. But you think, this is doing good, this is doing good, this is helping my heart. And, it's not going to be wasted. Anytime we exercise and we're, making our heart healthy and making our bones stronger and making our muscles stronger, we tell ourselves this is not going to be wasted. It's doing good, and it keeps us on that treadmill. And I think sometimes we're kind of like, excuse the metaphor, but we're on the treadmill of life sometimes and we're going, this is not worth it, I want off, hit the stop button, I can't do this anymore. And yet we need to tell ourselves today, just as Jesus didn't waste that bread, he says, let nothing, he says, I'm not going to waste what you are going through, because it is doing something good in you. It is doing something good in the people around you. And I don't think we can even fathom all the ripple effect when we are broken in God's hands, when he if you will, breaks us and allows us to be tested. I don't think we can even fathom all the ways that He uses that for good. And that's something I've had to learn, and I've had to preach to myself, like, you can do this, He will work it all together for good. And, just as I've seen that, as I've leaned on the Lord these past couple years, I've just seen Him do so much good already, He has been able to, bubble up that stuff I didn't like, and I've been able to kind of, pull that away off the top. And not that I have it all together. I still have difficult days. Oh my goodness, we were studying for tests last night, and I could see the yucky part of myself coming out again. But on the whole, I do see progress. And so I can look back and say, just as He didn't, waste those moments, He's not going to waste these moments, and I can persevere and continue to offer myself to the Lord's plans. Nancy says, we adopted our daughter 36 years ago. She's from South Korea, and she lives in California with her family of 3 children and a husband. What a gift from God. Raising children is not easy. Oh my gosh, 36 years ago. Oh, that's amazing, Nancy. That is just amazing. And that's really hard for me to fathom, as I've, I even had Kathleen Cope on my podcast last week, and she was adopted as a teenager, and she always gives me so much hope to see her as a mom of 4, and business owners and just leaders in the community and in church. And I look back and it's like, wow, God has done something amazing. And so that really encourages me, Nancy, this morning. And so it's hard for me to fathom, with a 12-year-old, like what that future looks like. And that gives me so much hope. And I know God is doing good. And He will do good. And with all my kids, it's not just because we adopted. I think it's all of us with our kids. It's kind of hard to imagine as we're raising them what the future looks like. But we're not called to figure out the future. Maybe they don't ever have kids, maybe they don't ever get married. That's okay too. But I believe that God will carry them through and will guide them however their life looks like. So anyway, all right, so take this with you today. It's not going to be wasted. God is going to do something good. I also wanted to say good morning to Carrie and Darian. Good morning, guys. I think that's, I knew there was something else I wanted to tell you today. I have a new podcast out today. Actually, as part of our partnership with Dayspring, I was able to interview the president of Dayspring. It's the first time I've interviewed a man aside from my husband, but I just thought it was just such an honor to be able to talk to him. He has been a president for I think 24 years and has worked for the company since 1981, which would make it like 37 years. They are a very ministry-minded company. If you don't know, Dayspring was bought out by Hallmark. They are a division. They're kind of like the Christian card division of Hallmark, and he has been leading them through that whole change over the past, he's been a part of it over the past 37 years. So as part of the interview, you get to hear how God has just led him, and he just has some really good encouragement for you. And I'm just so proud to have been to partner with Dayspring this season. And if you're ever at the card store, go get the Dayspring. Get the Dayspring card. I picked up intentionally picked up a Dayspring card for my mom. Her birthday was like a week ago, and picked up a Dayspring card. So support them. Anyway, so I hope you get to listen to that. Oh, Nancy says she also has 2 biological sons. So it was very similar to us. 2 biological kids and adopted. They're 45 and 43. It will all work out. There is more joy than sorrow with children. Thank you for that encouragement. I just think it's so important that, the generations of women, really minister to the generation underneath them, right? I mean, it's like I think it's 2 Timothy, it talks about, or Titus 2, I think it is Titus 2, where generations of women are mentoring and discipling the ones around and the ones above too. So thank you for that. I know all you guys listening, if you're listening and you can't see that on screen, if you're a parent, go look at the comments, because Nancy's got some good encouragement for you today. So thank you for sharing that, Nancy. All right, guys, I'm gonna go get started with my Tuesday. Probably gonna get some breakfast and then maybe go ice my back. Oh, it is what it is. Go ice my bag. And hope you guys have a great day. A great what? A great bay? No. I hope you have a great day. All right, we'll see you back tomorrow. Bye.